Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Green Lantern, Brightest Day. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, Green Lantern Brightest Day is a tie-in of sorts to, you guessed it, the Brightest Day story arc. But despite the fact that they are tie-ins to each other, and while they pretty much share the same name, Brightest Day, it is its own standalone story that you don't really need Brightest Day at all in order to enjoy this. You could go into this without having to read Brightest Day and still get the same sense of satisfaction or enjoyment that you would get if you had read Brightest Day. Now, for me, Green Lantern Brightest Day is a make or break for the Green Lantern title. Not necessarily in a bad way. I'm just curious to see exactly where the title is going to go from here. Because, see, Geoff Johns has done a fantastic job weaving the Green Lantern universe and building up to this huge climax with Blackest Night. But Blackest Night came, and Blackest Night went. And what do you really do with Green Lantern afterwards? I mean, if you're Geoff Johns, do you stay on the title and try another story? I mean, do you still have the momentum that you would have had building up to the Blackest Night? Or do you pass it on to a new writer? And with that new writer, what do you do to fill in the shoes of Geoff Johns? Because let's be honest, Geoff Johns has really been carrying Green Lantern, whether you like him or you don't, for quite a few years now. And he's been the reason why the comic has been so successful. Of course, Geoff Johns stays on the title. I think Green Lantern's the one comic book character that Geoff Johns won't leave by choice. You're going to have to pry his cold, dead Green Lantern hands from that comic in order to get Geoff Johns off it. See, he stepped away from Flash, and he steps away from Superman, and all that, but, you know, Green Lantern he'll never let go of, at least in my mind. Eventually, someone else is going to have to write it, but Geoff Johns, he loves the title to death. But, with that said, the question still remains for me. Where do we go after the Blackest Night? What do we really do? I really thought that was going to be the climax to Geoff Johns' writing. But he continues it, and the question remains is it going to be good? Will it still be relevant? Will the stories be interesting? I mean, it's kind of like, what do you do after you save the world? Any other good act you do is just going to be downhill from there. After you fight death itself, where do you really go? What do you really do? What is going to really live up to that momentous event? Well, we'll deal with that once we get to the end of the review. But for now, let's get into the story itself. Brightest Day starts off tied into Brightest Day. Sinestro finds the White Lantern, and Hal, along with Carol Ferris, join Sinestro and make a small little treaty, a pact, a alliance of sorts, to figure out exactly what's going on with this White Lantern. None of them can remove it, but the White Lantern tells them to go find the entities of the various different Lantern Corps. You know, Parallax, Ion, and all the other different kind of stuff. The Butcher. I don't know the names for all of them. They all have kooky names, but, you know who I'm talking about. The entities that power these lanterns. So, Hal Jordan, Carol Ferris, and Sinestro team up, and they eventually team up with other members. Indigo Tribe, LaFreeze from the Orange Lanterns, Atrocious, or I can't even pronounce his name though that correctly. Still not sure on the pronunciation. Someone wants to clarify, please. Atrocious of the Red Lantern Corps, as well as the Blue Lantern Corps with Saint Skywalker. So, you see, all the Lanterns kind of come together, and they're working together secretly. See, the Guardians don't really know about this. The Justice League doesn't know about this. And, you know, Hal doesn't like that this is going on. He doesn't want to team up with the Red Lanterns. He doesn't want to team up with Sinestro. He wants to be the good guy, the Green Lantern cop. But instead he has to make unholy alliances with his enemies in order to get these entities and bring them back before they are captured by an unknown assailant. Now, this unknown assailant is fairly new to today's comic book standards, but is a character that's been around for quite some time, and a character that's incredibly important to the DC Universe, in addition to the Green Lantern Universe. Now, some of you guys may know this character, and some of you guys may not, and I'm not going to reveal who it is, but it is a character that I kind of went to when I saw it. Whether or not this character works for the part is debatable, But the fact that it shows up is interesting enough. It's enough to kind of make you think, oh, well, I guess that was an interesting little spin and twist that you pulled, good old Geoff Johns, you. So that's the basic story. Hal Jordan, along with Carol Ferris, needs to team up with LaFreeze, Atrocious, or whatever you want to call him, and Sinestro, and Indigo Number 1, and State Skywalker, and all the different corpse colors, the main leaders, and work together to free the entities from this mysterious bad guy. On to the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. Well, I have to tell you, one of the highlights for this book isn't actually in the book itself. At the end of the book, they do a 3 to 4 page tale of Dexter, the cat Red Lantern, and it had to be the most compelling, saddest backstory for any lantern I've ever seen. I was so sad when reading this. This is a cat that loved its owner so much, and then the owner gets killed, and the cat wants revenge, and the cat still loves its owner and still cries for this owner, and it's so sad that I went upstairs and I kind of laid down with my cat, and I played with my cat afterwards. Such a compelling backstory. But the actual story itself, the good things I like. Well, I like how the Red Lantern Atrocious, or Atrocious, however we are pronouncing it, I like how he's being portrayed. He's kind of like an anti-hero. He's really actually a bad dude, but he's a bad dude that truly believes in what he's doing. He believes that, you know, he's been hurt so much, and all these people around the world have been hurt so much, and all they have left is rage. And he actually does some oddly interesting things. For example, he finds a bus full of murderers. He said that murderers, people that take lives, should not have life. So he kills them. I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler. Another incident is where he defends a father. And this father's daughter was killed, raped and killed by this murder. And the father was possessed by the Red Lantern entity, the Butcher. The father then, well, there's a climax, and the Spectre wants to take out the father because the father is now guilty. Atrocious stands in front of the Spectre and says, well, if you're going to take him out, you're going to have to take me out too. This character is really starting to evolve and have more dimensions to him other than Roar! Blood vomit! No, he's actually starting to grow and flush out into this interesting character. And I can honestly start to see why they're doing Red Lantern number 1 per the relaunch. Another thing is, I liked how LaFreeze was in this. I mean, there were some points when he was stupid, but there were some points where he was funny. For example, him writing to Santa Claus because he thinks Santa Claus is going to get him his all. It's kind of funny, but there are points where he does act stupid, and I'll get into that in the bad. Carol Ferris and Hal Jordan just connect so well together. There's very few comic book relationships out there that I really think are very good romantically, or at least just in the love sense. I'll name some of them off. Lois Lane and Clark Kent, great relationship. Catwoman and Batman, exciting and fun. Barry and Iris, a great stable relationship. Donna and Dick, although they don't actually are in love with each other, they do love each other as a brother and sister. Probably, pound for pound, the most beautiful relationship I've ever seen in comics is those two. And then you have Carol and Hal. And these two just complement each other so well. They're not complete opposites. They're actually very much alike, and they do complement each other very well in that sense. And it's a damn shame that you can't get these two together, because Hal is still with Cowgirl, apparently. We haven't seen her since, oh god, Wanted Hal Jordan, but apparently he's still with her. But their relationship is really nice. It starts off with a very emotional scene between these two talking with each other, and you can tell that there's some heated tension that's very nicely told and very nicely displayed. I like how Hal is starting to take on a new approach on life at this point. Although it's going to be a temporary approach, Hal as a character is evolving slightly. You know, he's really concerned about the universe more so than he was beforehand. Throughout this whole entire time, he does not take off his Green Lantern ring, and it's even brought up at the end of the comic. It's gone to so much a point that he tries to keep his friends out of it because he doesn't want his friends to get hurt. It's a different take on Hal. Not to say that Hal doesn't have the grief from being Parallax or have the sense of honor and duty that comes with being a Green Lantern. It's just he's taking it to an extreme. It's similar to how Batman is a tiny bit paranoid, but sometimes, like during the War Games comics, they drove that to an extreme. It worked, and it was enjoyable for Hal, and it's a temporary thing. Bad. Well, some of the stuff they did in this really didn't shock value me that much. For example, spoiler alert, Parallax possesses Barry Allen. And normally I would be like, wow, that's a big shocker. But this time around I'm like, what was this, the last an issue? I mean, if you're going to have something momentous like that, have Flash be Parallax for a while, you should have it be something that lasts for a couple months. When Hal became Parallax, it was a momentous thing to the character. Granted, we're not trying to kill off Barry again like, Hal was killed off, but the fact of the matter remains, him becoming Parallax, even for a short time, just seems like a waste. It is just shock value that eventually fizzles away. 2 is LaFreeze was portrayed as an idiot at some point. He said he wanted everything. Now, I understand that the character is obsessed and greedy, but I mean, geez. It just gets too much sometimes. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's too much. And it's really sad because, you're getting character development with LaFreeze. You're finding out that this character has a backstory, a history. His parents is a big motivation to him. And then you make him act like a goofball. So that kind of ticked me off a little. Whether or not you should get it. I have to honestly say that this did better than I thought it was going to be. Is it the best Green Lantern story? No. I think Geoff Johns done better in Green Lantern. But what I do like here is that he's really focusing on the other Green Lantern characters. The Corps members, the Red Lanterns, the Blue Lanterns, the Star Sapphires, the Indigo Tribe, the Orange Lanterns, and the Sinestro Corps Lanterns. All these characters are getting more depth and more character to them. Particularly this bad dude right here and this bad dude right here. These characters are starting to get development. Development that I like. And I also like the fact that he's continuing to use these characters. I was kind of concerned that all but the Green Lanterns would be wiped out in Blackest Night. Maybe their rings wouldn't work. Maybe they lost all their power or they were all killed. Whatever the fact would have been, I thought they were going to be no longer used. And in this, they're still used, and I like the fact that they're keeping that mythos with the Green Lantern alive. There are some down points to this, but it's well paced, it's enjoyable, it has good action, and on a whole, good character development. I have to honestly say though, as much as Hal Jordan is the main character in this, he's not the best character. I really have to give it to Atrocious or R2-D2 or whatever we're calling him. He really is the character that shined the most for me. The freeze comes afterwards, and then from there it kind of mellows out to everyone. Carol Ferris is also a character that impressed me in this too. She's really starting to come in on her own as her own character rather than a Green Lantern side character that just gets possessed every once in a while. Whatever the case may be, this was enjoyable. It's going to come to a price of $22.99. Do I recommend it? Yes. It gets a good recommendation. Not quite the Green Lantern Nirvana that we've had with Geoff Johns, but it's enjoyable, it's fun, and you get a lot thrown at you that, on a whole, I think you will like. So with that said, I'm going to end this review here. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.